Hello, we're in the 2nd of June and hopefully the worst of the bad weather is behind us. Plenty of moisture in the soil, temperatures come up, everything is growing like mad. So we're going to have a look at our traditional herbaceous border, which is backed by a Caucasian laurel, Prunus, laurocerasus, Caucasicus, Caucasian, something like that. It's better than the normal one. It hasn't been overproduced, so it hasn't much that yellowy virus in it. So it's nice and dark green, and it flowers very well. Actually, quite a good. Laurels are quite good plants for pollinators. And remember, they're members of the cherry family. See, this is the working garden centre. It's the working garden centre here. Have to make a living as well. But anyway, if you look at it closely, it's like a little miniature cherry flower or plum flower. That's a laurel as a background. Good, always a dark background. A dark background's better. Dark hedge is better than a light hedge because a dark background shows off the stuff better. Okay, here finally coming back to life is our Salvia Royal Bumble, and its first flower. First good strong red flower. Unlike hot lips, it doesn't have any no white comes into it. It stays red. It's really good. I found with the small leafed salvias, the ones with the smaller leaves are better than the small leaved ones with the larger leaves. If that make any sense? I find the larger leaved small leaved salvias tend to the branches tend to snap in the wind, or even if you look crooked at them, they tend to snap. But the small leaved salvias I find they're easier. And that's well, that one is Royal Bumble, and then there's of course hot lips, and there's another very good one, Nachtvlinder, I think it's called. It means moth in German. Okay, evening primrose, badly whacked by the cold weather, but it is coming back nicely. That's going to be really good. I want to talk about what's in here. Quite interesting. I hate doing this. This is Aquilegia, and it has spores on the petals. And the reason for the spore is that the pollinating insect has to go to the spore, so it has to go in further, and it's more likely to get pollen on it. They're known as granny's bonnets. Now they're all self-sown. We didn't plant them, but look at this. This is a sporeless one. Doesn't have any spores in it. So some people prefer the sporeless ones, and they look a bit like a clematis flower, which is interesting because they are in the same family as the clematis, so they're very closely related. Now here we have a Thalictrum, and that was planted originally, but that's also self-seeding. And it's called Thalictrum aquilegifolium, which means the Thalictrum that has the foliage of an Aquilegia. Now, they're closely related, but very different flower structures. That is one of the best late spring, early summer flowering plants you can have in your garden. Thalictrum aquilegifolium. It's an absolutely super plant. I can say nothing wrong about it. And we'll move along. Here's another Thalictrum. Nice, it's not out yet. That one is, I think it's called speciosissimum, and it's got lovely silvery foliage. It does tend to flop. I do have to remove some of the heavy weight from when it starts to flower to stop it from flopping, because as you all know, I don't like to stake stuff. I'd hate to be staked myself. I don't like staking stuff. We move along. And the reason I was actually doing this video was because of these here. These Polemoniums, Jacob's ladders, and the reason I'm doing a video now, in a week or two they'd be starting to go over. Now if you do cut them back, you get a second flowering. Now they are, you see them along here, they are all self-sown. They were never planted here, and I don't even know which one it is, but they are really, really good. So that's Polemonium, white one, blue one, and we have a paler blue here. They're absolutely beautiful, weren't affected at all by the cold weather this year. They just came up as if there was no cold weather. And here we have a good front of border plant, London Pride, the Variegata London Pride, great front of border plant. And we rarely have it for sale, but if somebody really likes it, and it's for the older gardeners, a bit like yourself, they often say, oh, that was very common when I was growing up. I got my granny's garden. Everyone got bits of this. This is before we had garden centres. Everyone got this from someone else, and that's how you got it. So I just give people bits like that. That's all you want, and off you go. And just a matter of interest, we did this. We did a video on this a few months ago. We pulled it apart and brought it up a bit higher. It sunk a bit, and it's come on really well. And this plant I wanted to point out, it's a forget-me-not, and I'd never seen it flowering. We planted it, never seen it, and it's come into flower, and it is super. So I'm really happy with that. That's a nice bed. It's not fully out yet. It's not fully filled in, but it's really, really good. The thing about alpine beds are great if you have it in a small garden, because you can garden in miniature, so you can put a huge amount of stuff into a small area. But the important thing is just change heights and textures and have little gaps between stuff. Don't have it all coming in together. And you don't want anything with big leaves. That's about the maximum. Let's see them there. When that was put in, we didn't realise it was going to be that big, or it would have been put maybe here. Now we go along, and Wedge Poppy, Mecanopsis cantabrica was never planted here. It came itself, and we're very happy to have it. Just be careful, in certain situations you can take over a bit, but it's very easily controlled. The problem is, with plants like this, which are nice, people are afraid, they take over because people don't regard them as weeds, so they're afraid to hold them and treat them like a weed. If it's getting out of hand, treat it like a weed, and then it's not a problem. But it's never been a problem here. Now, we have Welsh poppies at the front, and they are orange. And that's the yellow one. I actually prefer the orangey one. That self-seeds happily in the front. I must introduce the two of them at some stage. See, can we get something different? Now we go along, see what we have. We have the double Silene Dioecia. I got that years ago, actually in a cottage garden. I've never seen it for sale, and I've never sold it. I've given it to loads of people over the years. Very, very easy. Campion. And there's another Silene. And a little tight one. It's called Silene maritima. And that does very well in Ireland. And the reason I know is because I saw it grow wild at Hotel. So that will grow. If you have a windy part of the garden, that plant will do very well. It's a lovely little thing. Let me just move along. What have we got here? Little gap here. We took out this Sanguisorba pink brushes and split it and put a piece back. It was only one little piece, about 10% of the plant put back, and it's doing really well. There's a bit of a gap here. I'm going to stick in a delphinium. I've no delphiniums. I haven't had grown delphiniums for years, and I've decided I have to right that wrong and start growing delphiniums again. I'm putting a blue one here, and I'm putting a white one there, just to see. And look at the Polemoniums following us around. No, they've no sense of garden design, these Polemoniums. They seed everywhere. Like if I was a Polemonium, I would seed, because I'm tallish, I wouldn't seed at the front. But obviously Polemoniums obviously never went to gardening design classes. But it's still nice, it works. And here's our Thalictrum Elin. And that will grow about that height and ramrod straight and never needs a stake. Really, really good for a plant to give a statement of height. Polemonium is finishing off. We have a little problem here. Phloxes, they've grown and grown and grown and grown, and they really like it. So I took a photograph, and I'm going to have to bite the bullet next year. It's too late now, and remove one completely. That whole area of phlox is just too much. But that's one blue boy, it's really good. What else have we got? Ah, yes. It's a thistle. Cirsium rivulare, really good thistle. It's not spiky, but it's a really good thistle. I've noticed older people, they don't tend to like thistles because they are of the age where they would have got pricked by thistles, where younger people miss all that, so that they don't have the same hang up about thistles. But this is a really good plant. The thing about it is when it finishes flowering, if you cut it hard back, you will get it. It will reflower if you put a bit of effort in. It's worth putting the effort in. Cirsium rivulare. What else have we got? We have a fennel here, and this is bronze fennel, and it is self-sown. And every year, I'd say I'll take it up because it blocks the line, the run of the border. But every year I have mercy on it, and at this stage of the game, I don't think I can remove it. No, going further.
Sorry. Look at this one. It's so cute. I think that's
this plant here. That's Polemonium Lambrook Mauve, and like the other Polemoniums, it doesn't set seed. It flowers for a very long time. It's one of the best. I already mentioned the Thalictrum Aquilegifolium, but this is one of the best plants. Late spring, early summer flower plants to get. Really, really good and hard enough to get. Doesn't set seed, so it's very easy. Just lift it up, break pieces off, and put it down, and it will root. It has more. It doesn't go up; it sort of goes out. But cannot speak highly enough of this plant. Now let's go on a bit further. A little bit of Solomon seal in there. It's just different. It's just different. It's good. That's the good thing about it. It's different than everything else. And all the time, taking out willow herb. And look what we have here. It's a nice geranium, but we don't want it. It's Geranium robertianum, herb Robert. Lovely geranium, but it'll be like a guest that won't go home. So we're zero tolerance. When we see it, we take it up. But it's lovely in the wilder area. What else have we got? Just about the flower. Geranium Ann Folkard. What's good about this Geranium Ann Folkard and this very similar Geranium Ann Thompson is that their young foliage is lovely pale yellow colour, which shows up very dark plummy coloured flowers. Any flowers on it? No. Have we got a start? No, not yet. But it's really, really good. And to finish off, here's another Solomon seal, a variegated Solomon seal. We have a little bit of Peony Bowl of Beauty. Forklift in the distance. Have to make her a living. And the herbaceous border finishes, and it just morphs into a mixed border with shrubs. And here we have Magnolia Susan, a late flowering magnolia, as magnolias go on late flowering. It wasn't affected by the frost. All the mid-flowering, early flower magnolias were hammered by the frost. I've never seen before. Magnolia Elizabeth, which is my favourite one, the big bowl-shaped one, that just got destroyed in the frost overnight. But that's just a once-off. Oh, here we have sulphur clover. Sulphur clover here, which I love. I always forget about it. It's just beautiful. It's like a very large, long clover, but it looks better than... It's far better. It's one of these plants that's better to see than to talk about. And here we have, this is Serrata Bluebird, I think. All the hydrangeas were totally hammered with frost this year, all the big leaf hydrangeas. But this one, it will still flower. Now you could probably tidy it up a little bit, but it was very, very serious for hydrangeas this year. And next door, we have the Quinodendron Hookerianum from South America, which got a little bit hammered, but we're still getting a bit of, not as good as normal, but we're still getting a bit of flower out of it. It's really, really good. If you have a big garden, a good evergreen shrub for background, really, really worth having. Super. It'll grow to, eventually grow to about 20 feet. And we're going into a more, this is north facing, so we have shade loving plants here, a big male fern. Finishing off the Brunera, that was really, really good. Acer Pseudoplatanus, the brilliantissimum form of the normal sycamore. Sycamore's a great tree. Now, some people say you shouldn't have sycamores in Ireland, you shouldn't allow them because they're not native. But as far as I'm concerned, they've been here about 800 years, and after 800 years, I think they should be entitled to residence. Fantastic. In fact, I would say in the spring, the sycamore is better than the oak. It looks better. The new unfurling foliage of the sycamore is better than the oak. It's one drawback, it's poor autumn colour, but plant can't have everything. So that's our border. And just finish off, this is bronze peacock, Herbaceous, of the dark form of Thalictrum aquilegifolium, darker form, darker stem, darker flowers. It is reaching out a little bit away because of the bamboo. We try to keep the bamboo under control. And then we finish off with Geranium Rozanne. And look how it's jumping out of the ground. That was zero. That was zero about a month ago, and it's absolutely jumping out of the ground. Now, we just stop the video now, and then we just run around to their prairie garden, and we just do a little bit of a small little treatment on a plant. The reason I want to do this now is because I can't leave it to do this part of it in a video in 2 or 3 weeks time. It'll be too late. It's Chelsea chop time. Now, I know I've done it before, but you can see exactly the situation we have. That's a Veronicastrum. I'm not sure which one it is. It's one of the bigger leafed ones, the lusher ones, and they tend, for me, in our rich soil, to fall over. And when they fall over, it's game over. They look terrible, so they have to be Chelsea chopped. And it's not a nice thing to do. Look how nice that is now, and its lushness. And it has to be brought down to about here. And maybe in a week's time we'll do it. I haven't the nerve to do it now, but this is what you do. This is what we do, like that. Now, it works really well with this. The disadvantage is that branches here, where if that wasn't done, you would have a single stem all the way up with the flowers on top. Now it branches, so you get a more rounded effect, but it's still very good. It's still well worth doing. So that has to be done. This Veronicastrum here is one of the thinner leaves ones, but last year, because it was so wet at the end of the summer, it did actually fall over as well. So we'll do a little bit of Chelsea chopping in that one as well. And I'd probably use clippers with that. And the other two plants for Chelsea chopping here are Solidago Fireworks. I have to bring it down to about here. Now that one is not meant to fall over, but it does fall over for me. And the other one is Solidago Golden Mosa over here. Now, I think I will get my motorized cutter for this, but that one has to be brought down. Because about 5 years ago, it fell apart when it was in full flower, lovely yellow flower. was in full flower, and it was a bit of wind, a bit of rain, bit of wind, the whole thing fell apart. I cut it back, nothing happened. It was a hole in the board for the rest of the season. It was a total disaster, complete disaster, real disaster. So we have to do it. We have to be disciplined and do it. We have to do it. Now, when this one is done, it always looks like one of those G.I. Joe buzz haircuts you get, but very quickly you get little differential rates of growth. So after maybe 2 weeks, it doesn't look like it was chopped across like that. It will very quickly balance out. Now here's a Veronica from here. It doesn't need to be carefully chopped. That one is called Erica, and it's probably my favourite. Now, just before we finish it off, 2 things. That's a really good Thalictrum Salicaria, dwarf one. But I can see, if you're looking close here, willow herb, Thalictrum. Willow herb, willow herb, willow herb, willow herb, herb. You have to take it out. If you don't, you'll end up with a willow hair border, not a prairie border. It'll take over. Now, we barked this about 5-6 years ago, and we could probably do with a rebarking. Now, this is one more interesting point. This is a dwarf variety. I think it's called Robin. There's a little bit of self-seeding. You see the one that's self-seeded is tending to go to the more normal height. The normal height in nature is up here, and that one is about here. So we'll always try to go back to nature. So we have to a certain extent just try and keep nature back a little bit. Now look at this here. Don't know which one this is. And it formed a second layer up here, and I decided I didn't know what to do. Someone said, "Oh, that's a sucker," but these are growing their own roots. So I knew what was coming up had to be the same as that. So I said, "I'll leave it and see what happens." And this is what we've got. Now next year they will all flower. Now I suppose we could have had it on 1 leader, but I've decided to let the 2. We're going to end up with layers. It's going to be really something. This one has very good. This one has very good berries as well. And we can probably just nip off the Magnolia Elizabeth, and just we're definitely finished now, except for 2 things. This is not doing very well for some reason. This Coreopsis Zagreb. So what we've done is we've lifted some of the Molinia grass and just split it yesterday. I'm gonna put Molinia in here. So that's a really nice Molinia. So if that doesn't come back, the Molinia grass will take over. It's really good. So it was sort of a compromise. It needs sort of a way of, I can't get any more of that, and even if I could get more of it, I'm not sure I want to put it in if it's got the same thing is going to happen again. Okay, this is definitely the finish, and that one is Ann Thompson. It's the start of these type of geraniums. They will be still in flower in September or October, when everything else is all over and we're all on holidays.